I saw a post recently on LinkedIn. It was about scheduling 5 different types of self-care days every month. Most people loved it. And honestly, I was surprised because my first thought was, who on earth has 5 whole days a month just to dedicate to self-care? But my bigger issue wasn't time capacity. It was that it turned rest into yet another project, another thing to organize, and another social standard to prove we're the perfectly well-balanced person, all leading to another way to fail. But the truth is, time to yourself shouldn't feel like work. And just because someone loves a spa day doesn't mean that works for you. Somewhere along the way, self-care started making us care less for ourselves because it's become just another item on the to-do list that doesn't even always leave us feeling restored. If you've ever struggled to rest without guilt or avoided self-care because it felt too overwhelming, this video is for you. Because today I want to help you stop treating rest like another productivity goal and start building what I call your personal rest system, a way to rest that works for you, what you personally need and how you live, not someone else's Instagram fantasy. And if you're anything like me, your head is always busy. So the last thing you need is to feel overburdened by something as natural as rest. Now, before we talk solutions, let's start with honesty. Rest is not easy for perfectionists or people who hold themselves to very high standards because you've spent so much time setting high expectations for yourself, often finding your value in achievement, that every moment you're not producing, it feels like you're falling behind. You've tied your worth to being useful. So rest feels selfish. You tell yourself, I'll rest when everything's done, but everything is never done. Then there's the paralysis, because after years of overworking, you lose touch with what actually restores you. You don't even know where to start anymore and what kind of rest you need. So you become too exhausted to figure out how to stop being exhausted. And perhaps most dangerously, you've ignored your need for rest for so long that you no longer recognize the early warning signs that you need it until your body starts shouting at you. But you may have even become oblivious to those shouts too. I'll never forget reading about the story of Ranjan Das, the CEO of SAP India who died in 2009. He was fit, disciplined, ambitious, and incredibly successful as one of the youngest CEOs in the country. But what stood out to me was that he exercised, he ate clean, he didn't smoke, but he only slept 4 to 5 hours a night. And at just 42 years old, he died suddenly of a massive cardiac arrest after a workout. This devastating and sad story was a stark reminder that our culture often praises and rewards the kind of hustle and overwork that leads to self-destruction. And these aren't isolated stories. They're warnings to those of us who think high standards justify constant exhaustion. We've normalized pushing through exhaustion, overriding those signals that our body sends, and we call it dedication. But that's not dedication, it's denial of your body's signals. The danger is that the longer you ignore them, the more those warning signals just become your norm. So to help give you an idea of what your warning signals could be, I've categorized them into 3 types: physical signs, mental signs, and emotional signs. Here are some cues to look for under each of these types. Physical signs might look like your afternoon crash starts to come earlier than it used to. Maybe coffee has stopped working. You're getting sick more often and sleep just doesn't really refresh you anymore. Mental signs could look like simple decisions feeling heavy and overwhelming. Your creativity starts to flatline and you struggle to access ideas. It could be that you're forgetting things and making mistakes that you normally never make. And perhaps you keep rereading the same things over and over again, struggling to absorb information. Lastly, emotional signs could be that you have a shorter fuse. You're snapping at people you love or becoming easily frustrated with them. You could feel numb and disconnected during things that you used to actually enjoy. Perhaps everything now always feels urgent, almost like you're living under this constant manufactured pressure. If you're nodding at 2 or more of these, you don't need another spa weekend. You need to reconnect to what actually restores you. Rest that's relevant to your actual life and your personality. Because as Rick Rubin says, restoration is deeply personal, not performative. For some, rest might mean quiet solitude. For others, it's laughter, movement, or creative play. This is the point at which I encourage my clients to pause and get curious. I'll often ask them, think back to the last time you felt truly restored, not just less tired, because there's a difference between less tired and restored. Less tired means you can function another day and just get through it. Restored means you have energy, zeal, and presence again, and not just for your day-to-day commitments, but also for seeing the bigger picture and getting clarity. So thinking back to that restorative time, what were the conditions? Were you alone or with others? Were you moving or still? Were you in nature perhaps? Or were you indoors under the duvet? Were you creating or were you consuming? Also think about how you feel at the end of each working day, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Are you depleted or energized? Because if you spend all day talking to people, restoration for you might mean solitude. If you work alone, it might mean connection. And if you live in spreadsheets all day, restoration might mean creativity. Now that you've considered what restoration means for you personally, incorporating it into your daily life is crucial because we can hold back thinking we need to have a whole day scheduled for it. But in reality, turning them into micro rest moments, i.e. small achievable doses of restoration, means they become part of how you live instead. So instead of asking, how do I take a whole day off? Try asking, what's my minimum effective dose of what restores me that I can do today? Depending on what you've identified as personally restorative, microdoses could look like, for instance, 5 minutes of silence before your next meeting. A microdose could be a 10-minute walk without looking at your phone. It could be eating lunch without multitasking, or perhaps listening to music while doing nothing else. Sometimes the most radical act of rest is just simply protecting your sleep. You can go to the fanciest retreat in the world, but if you're not sleeping properly, your body is still in deficit. To help these microdoses of restoration flow with your daily activities, you could try incorporating them as something called tiny transition rituals. In other words, things you do as you move in between tasks, activities, or different roles. They create natural pauses that help your brain and emotions reset. These microdoses wrapped around your daily activities work because instead of letting exhaustion quietly build up, they keep your nervous system consistently regulated. Research supports this as well. Dr. Sandra Dalton-Smith's studies show that short, intentional rest moments can improve focus and emotional regulation just as effectively as longer breaks, when done consistently though. So you don't have to become overwhelmed because you have to prioritize 5 whole rest days, which you may not have. Dr. Sandra also identifies 7 types of restoration, each meeting a different need. They include physical rest. This gives you the chance to use your body in restorative ways to release tension, reduce headaches, and promote higher quality sleep. Then there's mental rest. This quietens the constant mental chatter so you can focus on what actually matters. Spiritual rest is about experiencing God in all things and resting in that deeper sense of peace that comes from God. Emotional rest is expressing feelings authentically and breaking free from people pleasing. Social rest is knowing which relationships refill you and limiting the toxic ones that drain you. Sensory rest means downgrading the constant stimulation from screens, noise, and information overload. And lastly, creative rest. This is about letting beauty, curiosity, or nature reignite your sense of wonder. Which of these map most closely to the kinds of rest that restore you that you thought about earlier? When I think back to the times I felt truly restored, they have all mapped back to these three key types of rest: emotional, mental, and creative rest. Those are the spaces where I come back feeling the most re-energized. Now that you know what restores you, let's turn that into a system you can actually live by. Your personal rest system should have 4 key parts. The first is your early warning system. This involves regular check-ins to gauge where you do or don't feel depleted. Here you can ask yourself questions like, how's my energy today? What's my irritability level? Am I enjoying anything or just enduring? And the benefit of this early warning system is that it prevents burnout from just sneaking up on you. And it can be something that you also do with friends or family. You can have these group check-ins to see where everyone is. The second component is your rest menu. This is your list of activities that actually restore you, organized by time investment. So you can break them into, for instance, 5 to 10 minute resets, i.e. these are your microdoses, 30-minute rituals, or 1 to 2 hour escapes. One of my clients, she realized that her morning shower was her only alone time and was very precious to her. So she used 5 minutes of that time for another activity that restored her, which was listening to her favorite music. It wasn't Instagram worthy, but it worked for her. And that's what matters most. The benefit of your rest menu is it removes decision fatigue, so you don't have to think too hard about what you need to do for restoration when you're already tired or busy. The third element consists of your protection strategies. This is a plan of how you'll defend those times. And the benefit of these protection strategies are that it creates a psychological permission to actually rest and forces you to prioritize it. The last component of your personal rest system are recovery protocols. So if you do ever become completely depleted, what's your plan? What can be postponed? Who can help? The benefit of this is that you can react quickly when you notice you're absolutely exhausted in order to avoid burnout. We must protect the sacred space of restoration, not because it's indulgent, but because it's how we sustain our capacity to give. And if you need support designing your own personal rest system, I run a workshop on this very topic. So to find out more, just click the link in the description below. So here are 3 reflection prompts to leave you with. The first is, what are your early warning signs that you need rest? The second, what type of rest does your specific life and work require? What type doesn't just make you feel less tired, but restored? The third, what's the smallest part of that rest you can start protecting this week? You don't need 5 themed self-care days. You need consistent moments of restoration that actually work for your body, your mind, and your season. Rest is not another job for perfectionists to perfect. It's how you stay alive, creative, and connected in a demanding world. And if this resonated, watch my video called Procrastination is Your Signal. Here's how to read it. In that video, I show how tuning into your natural rhythms and seasons actually helps you rest and become even more effective with your goals. It's the perfect companion to this conversation. Until next time, stop apologizing, start strategizing.